Welcome back, friends and game changers, and people that are following in the pursuit of change and growth. It's the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Brochures. Today, I do plan on doing a bit of a shorter video. Um, you know, life's a roller coaster. We're going to ride this thing. We're going to go through a lot of stuff in the process. You'll have your good days, you'll have your bad days. One thing that I have learned and one thing that I do practice is doesn't matter what the day is. You have a goal, you have something that you need to work on. Keep working on it. You don't need to be in a good mood to achieve your goals. You don't need to feel good to achieve your goals. Do something every day. Put effort in. The Maturity Project is an education that's built in the concept. Actually, it's just built in maturity. It's 8 different areas of maturity. Once you understand those 8 areas of maturity, you can apply something on a daily basis and it will transform your life. It's not going to, most people are not going to have the transformed life where tomorrow you are drastically different than you are today at some sort of incredible macro level, right? Like you've got late fees in your bank account, you're negative X amount of money, and then tomorrow you're a billionaire. It's not that kind of transformation. It's not a get rich quick approach. It's not a make noteworthy and significant change that everybody recognizes within minutes. It's not like that. That's not how life works anyway. You'll have your low energy days. You'll have your confusion days. You'll have your I'm upset days. You'll have everything in the entirety of it. But here's the thing: be dedicated to what you need to work on. You need to make the declaration of what you need to work on anyway. What I suggest for my students to do is get something, a dry erase board, pieces of paper throughout your house, whatever. Write it that actually does something to your attention to your goals, your attention and intention of your goals. You write it and you put it places that you know you're going to come across. Especially if it's the beginning of the day, but also, you can leave yourself little Easter egg reminders if you need to. Put it in the mirror of your car, your vanity mirror in the car. Just pull that thing down and take a look at it if you're midday and you're just down on it. You know, I'm putting this out there today because today's one of those slumps for me as well. We're going to have it. Doesn't matter. I'm not trying to present some sort of significant guru position with this education. I'm flawed. I have my challenges. I'm growing through everything. I'm willing to put myself out there so that I can, I take the risk of looking really bad, and looking, undesirable to some people because I have in my heart a desire to help people. But the hard lessons of enabling has occurred in my life, and I've studied it as well. And I am, you know, I'm a student of life, and I have specific subjects that I happen to be more equipped to learn faster and more effectively, and then there's others that I find that are desirable because they're challenging to learn. You know, just be open to, you know, pick. What I do prefer also is I like to pick a subject that is fairly easy to learn and a subject that's hard to learn, and then combine them on a daily basis. I may not combine them in the way like, okay, we're going to do both these at the same time, but I'll read the one that if I'm lower energy and I really need a kind of a bump or a boost, I'll go with the thing that's easier to really get my mind going, kind of priming it for learning something that's more challenging. So get myself kind of in the excited learning phase, and then switch over from that after a specific amount of time. In a book, it's 6 pages. So after I get to 6 pages, then I will, I could switch over to another one that's a little harder to consume, or a little more challenging to comprehend. But I've got the excitement from the first one to kind of carry me over, instead of the arduous dread of walking through or pushing myself through something that's undesirable or less rewarding, or less immediately, rewarding with dopamine. I'd rather that I do develop the disciplines necessary. We all have a specific discipline style that works best for us. It's not like one thing fits everybody. So that's what I'm doing with this anyways, to inspire people that I resonate with. I'm not trying to hit the entire world with it. The goal is, though, to actually have influence worldwide, not necessarily me, but the education itself, because it is something that kind of brings a sense of workability to people that are driven into division based off of all kinds of different variables that seem to push us into division. So if we want to be able to actually achieve that goal and make a bigger impact so that our children have a life that is more preferable that they have, you know, we got to do the work. We can't pass on the fight. We can't leave it for them. We got to take it on ourselves. So that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. You know, I know that I need to make my bed. I need to clean my room. I need to take care of my house. I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of my immediate community. I need to take care of, you know, the extending community to the state where I actually have responsibility for it. Things like that, but you continue to grow out. That's the core values that you'll find in the education. The I, we, and all values, especially specific to relationships of all types. So, but the goal of this is just to get you guys to just, you know, figure out what your best learning methods are and what is the discipline that you require to get further along. So the 8 areas of maturity, and people hear this often, but actually it's just I just go through this stuff in my head all the time, and this is the lens that I see the world through. But the 8 areas of maturity is: 1 is the physical body. That's your health, that's your fitness, that's your functionality, that's the longevity, everything about the human body that you have, the vessel that's your responsibility to take care of. That's physical maturity. If you want to be a bodybuilder, it'll be at a cost, right? There's the time it takes, there's the nutrition, there's the supplements, there's the dedication, and there's the mobility issues that come with that. If you're going to be a bodybuilder, you're probably not going to be a very good golfer, and there's a pretty damn good chance that's the case. Golf to baseball, you know, there are different movement patterns that require specific conditioning that makes you better at each one of those things. As far as just the conditioning of the physical body, longevity, we have the genetic hand we've been given, and then there's everything else we do that makes it, you know, whether or not it increases or reduces the longevity on, you know, the likelihood we're going to have a healthy, long life. You know, there's other things that come into play, things that you're unaware of, and then there's the risks that we partake in, you know, and then there's some things that, you know, you can't really determine the risks, you know, like when you drive a car. You can't determine the risks. You know that they're there. You just don't know when the major issue would show up, and, you know, because you hear about it all the time. But you do what you can to take care of you. That your physical body's your responsibility. Community is the second area of maturity. That's you and one other person and then above, right? And it's your relationship with people and how you are with them. What you do for your community and what your community does for you. And the goal is to create a very symbiotic and workable relationship, so that specifically you create the relationships that are associated with you achieving your goals. But with that I can't say that word right now. Reciprocity. Yes, it's reciprocity. Wow. I don't know why I tongue-tied on that. It's, you know, you want to also, you know, with you pursuing your own goal, you'll support other people in their pursuit of their goals, you know, and that helps everybody really win. But community maturity, that does go into relationships, but relationships is a combination of multiple things. It's a dynamic thing. Emotions, sexuality, depends on the type of relationship. It also might have finance and business, purpose, you know. So there's different areas of maturity. So, third area is cognitive or intelligence. What are you doing? What do you study? You know, it's not just whether or not you have a degree. You know, what do you do on a regular basis? Do you read? Are you educating yourself? What do you spend your time with that you have conscious attention of? You know, where do you spend that? It is a bank account. Where do you spend it? So for me, I listen to, you know, YouTube videos. I'll use Rumble, you know, occasionally X, stuff like that. Audio books. I rarely listen to music. You know, I don't have anything against music. It's just I have to pick. You know, and it depends on also my mood. The next episode that I'll record will be on emotional maturity. I'll do that. Yeah, that'll be the next one. But that is also the next in this alignment. So it is fourth area of maturity is emotional or emotion. Oh, you can develop that. Um, it's just that we seem to want to stay away from emotion, which is just odd to me that we have the lessons presented on a regular basis to us, and we keep offsetting the lesson. Most of the time it's because we don't understand how to take those lessons on. We haven't really been taught a method for learning through our emotional challenges. Typically, it's just taught avoidance, or even optimism can turn into avoidance. But anyway, I want to beat up that horse too much. So, finance is the fifth area of maturity. Pretty simplistic on that one. I think we all have had plenty of that. It's your credit scores, it's your credit worthiness, it's how much money you make, what kind of commitments do you make that also takes up the money that you earn. Do you understand how to invest? What financially do you understand when it comes to like financial maturity, and how can you develop that? Every one of these subjects are highly dynamic, but the goal is to get to what matters the most to you so you can start seeing how these things work so you can develop in them, and then you're kind of set free. You scaffold, like in the earlier phases of this, we scaffold around you in a way that gives you workability to the areas that you're wanting to apply effort in to develop. So, business is the sixth area. Now, this is everything from getting your first job to getting, promoted, working with other people in a way that helps you with your business-centric directions, entrepreneurship, owning a business, creating an industry. We could even get to that, although I have not created an industry, and there's very few people that have, but it still could get to that point where it's creating an industry. So just think that Silicon Valley came into being. That's in my lifetime that became an industry that was a real industry. Cryptocurrency became an industry. That's no, I'm not saying I'm advocating for any of these things, by the way. Although we're taking part of it, like with Silicon Valley, I'm taking part of that with using this type of platform and developing this type of content. But those things are just industries that are born. Those are businesses, and different. The businesses are inside of that industry. Um, so yeah, business maturity. A lot of interesting things there. Sexuality is the seventh area, and this is everything from the types of clothes you choose to wear, the colognes, the way that you speak with people, when you're wanting to be charismatic or flirtatious, things like that. Also, your sexual preference, not letting your sexuality take off and turn you into somebody that you're not, or make you do things that it's how do you balance it out? Communicate effectively with your partner and or partners so that you can have a fulfilling and rewarding relationship. So, and then the eighth area is purpose and spirituality, if you will. So I titled it initially as spirituality slash purpose, which is you can get your purpose through religion. You don't have to have it. I've gone through my own phases in life, and I will say that there's a lot of different ways to come up with purpose. So, but it gives the fulfillment of life because you're living your life for something that's not just surviving. It's to move along and to create a greater impact. Purpose is driving communal creatures like ourselves. It's a very motivation-driven area for us. So, anyway, so just of those eight areas, pick something, and I would suggest pick two things, one that's more difficult and one that's much easier, and apply that on a regular basis. You'd be surprised how you can graph off of the thing that you're good at and start making the thing you're not so good at better. So graphing. Graphing is where you take a specific structure that's currently there that you can comprehend, and then you take that and you apply that structure into something else. You graph onto it. Yeah. So pick something, work on it. Doesn't matter if you don't feel well or not. If you're high energy or low energy. If you don't have a lot of time, or if you have more than enough. If you're bored, things like that. It's completely up to you how you want to take this on. But I would definitely suggest reading, and I don't mean listening to an audiobook. And I'm also not a fan of reading from tablets. Just because the digital version, I like the sensation of paper. I like to see how far I am in the book and make notes or earmark a book, whatever. I like the tangible object when it comes to that. But I do listen a lot to a lot of things because I listen to, educational things when I'm at the gym, when I'm driving, when I'm doing things that I can't read, you know, and then when I can, I do. My son does not like to let me read around him very often. He'll be 3 in February, and yeah, he's got a little bit of a challenge when it comes to letting me read. So I have to do audiobook stuff like that when he's around, just because of that reason. But I had to adapt. But I do prefer reading, highlighters, stuff like that. Just things that help make the reading very personal. You Take notes when I'm reading if there's specific things that are interesting, but also new information that's a little bit more challenging to comprehend, or that can take revisiting multiple times to get the real depth of understanding of it, things like that. You do not need to be brilliant to be successful in this life, and actually, a lot of the people that I know that are incredibly intelligent they really haven't accomplished much in life, unfortunately. And I'm not saying this is everybody who's intelligent. There's definitely incredibly successful, intelligent people. And then there's people that aren't quite as intelligent and they're incredibly successful. I use the example of Bubba Gump Shrimp, so Forrest Gump, on a regular basis. But there's a lot more than that. And I'm talking about real success. I'm not talking about something that's propped up because of some sort of social, activism or something like that. That's just picking a target and trying to highlight it to push a political agenda. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody who actually got out and still forced their way through understanding business to the point that they're not only proficient. For Bubba Gump, one of the reasons why I find that be such a success story is that I work in the gym industry. I fix gyms. I go in and I help them restructure and things like that. It's one of the businesses that I have. I've been involved in that industry for quite some time now. And I can tell you that from that, gyms and restaurants have the highest attrition of all businesses, at least the most common businesses. So gyms and restaurants, just because you can make a sandwich doesn't mean you can run a business as far as a restaurant goes, and just because you know how to get people to get results when they go to the gym doesn't mean you can run a successful gym. And that's commonly one of the reasons why there's such an attrition issue with those two categories, those two different industries. So with that, you pick and learn. So you don't need to be smart, but it's helpful. But grit, hard work, as they say in sports, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. It's how hard you're willing to work. So if you have talent and you're willing to work hard, then you're something really significant. Michael Jordan, talent plus he works hard, right? Kobe Bryant was like that. I'm not a big fan of LeBron, but that's mostly because of his strategy for his business, his brand is a bit off for me, and I don't care for that, for what his message is. But anyway, I don't care for anybody that pushes division. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. So anyway, all right. Well, pick something and learn. I'm a big fan of doing the double. Pick an easy and then pick a hard, and put it into your process on a daily basis. Doesn't matter if you're on the low or you're on the high. If you're going through heartache or you're incredibly overwhelmed with joy, doesn't matter. Just keep trying. Just keep working. You don't have to spend your entire day either. For me, it was really surprising when I went from, okay, I'll give myself 30 minutes of education. All right, I'll do an hour. Then I went from an hour to, okay, I'll do 3 hours. From nothing, right? I left the power industry and I started working in a physical therapy office as a functional trainer that became a corrective exercise specialist. Quickly, by the way, because I was really driven and motivated to do so. But with that, I just, I didn't know much about anything in that world other than I just exercised regularly and I was in good shape. But there was a lot of things that I didn't know, and I was exposed to a new world. I went from never reading outside of a muscle magazine or, ingredients in food to, traffic signs and stuff like that. But I was just, kind of burnt out from school, and I started reading. Actually, I started reading when I was 25 from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I did pick up the practice, and then I kind of fell off it. But anyway, I did get started there after school, and then kind of died out a bit. And then whenever I came across this opportunity with a physical therapy office, I gave that dedication 1 hour a day, and it went from 1 hour to 3 hours within less than a week, and then 3 hours to 8 hours, and then it was anything in my waking time. If it's not education, I'm not going to be a part of it. If it's entertainment only, I'm not doing anything with it. So, but it was just really interesting how that grew for me. It was monumental. Oh, and it was that I just tried something different, and I found that vein of interest, and it just really continued to reward me. So now it's an easy practice. So uh, just pick it, and work on it. All right, that's it for today. Oh, it's just because it's tough, just because things seem like it's just too much. Don't lose sight of it. Give yourself the time. If you need to read when you're on the toilet, I don't care. Just give yourself something. It's when you are educating yourself, you're giving yourself a gift for tomorrow. You're giving yourself a workability that you currently don't have. And sometimes that workability isn't obvious until it accumulates to something. And it will turn into something greater. Just keep practicing it. One of the worst things to do is just sit and watch television all day if you don't have an intent to actually, like, I'll give you this. I have a neighbor that his business actually has the privilege of writing off video games and movies and albums, and it's a bunch of stuff he actually has the ability to write off because of his business when it comes to the taxes, because of the nature of his business. So when he watches a movie or he plays a video game or if he's listening to music, it all falls into what he does professionally, because what he does is he's a graphic designer, but he works on things from everything from animation for TV and things like that for bands, and he does all kinds of stuff like that. He's an incredibly fascinating guy, very artistic. But when he watches television, he's not watching it to turn his brain off. He's watching it to pick up on specific things. Why do they do this in the design? And it's a great conversation to have with him, because that's how I watch TV. That's how I get into movies. That's how when I read a book, I'm trying to find motive on top of what's being delivered. I want to understand something far beyond that. If it's a movie, I'm like, this is actually something that was done with a lot of people that you can't see, because they're behind the screen, they're behind the camera, the supporting staff to get there, the makeup, the director, the producer, everybody that's responsible for this becoming something that we can consume. And then the acting of the actors and actresses, whatever, that I just pay attention to all of those things. And it's entertaining and interesting to me. But it's not just entertaining. I'm learning something in the process. So it's fascinating what you can pick up whenever you can broaden your parameters of learning. So 8 different areas of maturity. Pick the areas. If you're interested in finding out more about each one of those areas specifically, put a comment in the comment section. You can also email me at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. That's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to kind of start some conversation there. I do have some documents, the starter pack, things like that, as far as the 8 different areas to give you something to work with. It's available. I can send it over to you if you choose, if you'd like that. I am working on a relationship course as well, constantly doing something and constantly developing myself. The relationship course, I will be putting out a few little teaser videos, stuff like that, as that thing comes to fruition. It's coming. It's going to be here soon. And it is, it's an interesting course, but it actually is something that, I find that it will create a lot of solutions for a lot of challenges that we have. So anyway, if you have more interest in that as well, email me. Put a comment in the comment section over here. But I will want to get the email started, because that's the best way of corresponding. It's not just in the comments. So, all right. Till next time, I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears. This is the Maturity Project. Share this video with a person in your life that you feel could really benefit from it. If you want to start a conversation to make a difference, share this video with that person or those people. You have to be the person that makes the difference. The Calvary ain't coming because you're it. So if you want to actually address the challenges that humanity is facing, the struggles, the upsets, the drama, the stress, you know, um, nobody's coming to save us. We got to do it. We got to work on it ourselves. So that's what this is all about. I appreciate your patience with this. As you can see, that this is still an earlier phase for the company and this education. I am putting this as a complete dedication for me. You will see the changes over time. If you feel that I am less than desirable in the delivery, understandable. I'm not going to be everybody's flavor right now. Won't be in everybody's flavor at any point in time. But I'm not going to sit back and complain. I'm not going to be part of the problem. I will always look for a solution to the challenge. And I won't just sit quietly and wait to die and hope that somebody else fixes humanity. This is something that is a dedication for me. So I appreciate your patience and your support in this. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. We want to continue to grow, obviously, and I'd love to have more and more people involved in the community, because this is the way that we are going to grow it. And this is something that I'm determined to make a reality for everybody, that they can see the world through this lens or have access to it so they can develop themselves, without having somebody else do it for them. Because it won't work if somebody else does it for them.